Have you noticed they're starting to show cartoon sci-fi movies and shows now, on prime time? So you sit there and you want to watch something scary, right? And you flip on to Sci-Fi or one of these other networks, right? And you're sitting there watching a cartoon thing about, whatever. And I don't know. Things have changed. That's what I liked about the old stuff in the 80s and 70s and 60s where they bring out the Hammer movies, where you had to use your brain a little bit and digest it. One thing I will tell you, people, you need to get Dark Realm. You need to get that movie. I tell you, it's intriguing, it's suspenseful, it's sticky fun, beautiful eye candy, but it has a lot of scariness to it. And that is what makes a movie good.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. And you get little scares a little bit in some of the stage performances as well as the storyline too. So it is cool. But I'm glad you like that. I'm glad you like the storyline, as much as you like the presentation of on the stage. So yeah, that's very cool. I mean, being a fan of horror myself, we wanted to make sure we put good things in the film, in the narrative. So. I'm glad. I'm thrilled you enjoy it. So thank you. I hope you guys on the audience check it out, and I hope you enjoyed it as well. You have to let me know.
Well, we got just a couple minutes left. You want to tell people how that movie actually came about? The idea that here you're doing a live stage show, and what created the idea, of making a movie of it. I think they want to hear that from you.
All right. Well, yeah, it all started, like I say, Vincent Blanchio and his horror pedigree goes all the way back. He's in Roger Corman's Sorority House Massacre in the 80s. So, Vinny's been doing this for a long time, and he's in some cool stuff. And he starred in a bunch of horror films, like Vile Slime, which is another one put out by our writer-director friend John Lachago, as well as Magus. So anyway, so Vinny and I knew each other, and he came to me and he said, "Let's shoot your show," meaning let's capture, your stage show. And I said, "Well, let's not just shoot the show. Let's make a movie out of it." I wanted to do a presentation that wasn't your typical, kind of 5-camera shoot in a magic or illusion special kind of looking thing, because he was thinking, well, we'll shoot this and we'll shoot the show and it'll look nice, and then I'll have a DVD of it, to sell to the audience. And then of course, I'm insane, so I wanted to take it to a much bigger audience. I didn't want to just sell it to the people who came to see me and the people I see at all the horror conventions, sci-fi and pop culture conventions and stuff that I do in different events. I wanted to go out and put it into the marketplace, and make something. To do that, I wanted to make something really different. So I said, let's make a movie out of it. Let's combine the stage show with a horror film narrative. And that's where we got to that part, because it all started with Vinny saying, hey, let's shoot your show. And I wanted to go so much further, and I wanted to make a big project out of it. So I took it and made it into something that was much bigger, because then we had a movie, and then we had something that would actually go get distribution for and go put it in the market so you guys could go and find it and see it. Because I'm like, there's no sense in making this if no one's going to see it. And I'm like, I want to make it good, so I want to make it good enough to get out in the market with the whole show and production value and a good storyline coupled with it. And also I wanted to make something different. Originally I had talked to Herschel Gordon Lewis. I met him at one of the very first horror conventions I was actually performing and a guest at. And I always loved The Wizard of Gore, because The Wizard of Gore is one of those movies that kind of inspires Dark Realm. Like Vincent Price in the 50s did a movie called The Mad Magician. There's a little bit of that in there. And there's also stuff like even David Copperfield is in a movie. He performs in it, he doesn't star in it. But he's in a horror movie called Terror Train from like 1980 or 81. But I talked to Herschel Gordon Lewis because I wanted to do a remake originally of The Wizard of Gore. And I talked to him about this when he came up to my booth at this horror convention and we got to meet. And I told him how much I loved The Wizard of Gore. In fact, he signed my DVD copy of The Wizard of Gore for me, which is, I geeked me out entirely. So, and sadly he passed a couple of years ago, but before all this, we had talked, I run into him several times, and we talked, and I said, well, what does it take to do that if I want to do a remake of that? And he told me how to go about, who had the rights and how to go about getting that. But then it was just a couple of years later after that, they came out, somebody out in LA came out with a remake of The Wizard of Gore, which I wasn't so crazy about, but then it had been done and it was out there. There was no reason to just immediately make another remake of The Wizard of Gore. And that's when Herschel had also said, he's like, well, if you can't get the rights or whatever, he's like, just make your own. Just make your own movie, about magic and horror and combine it the way you're going to do it. So that's something that was in my head when Vinny came and said to me, let's shoot your show. And then I'd already, had talked to Herschel about all this stuff. And then I said, well, now's my chance to make my take on it, my version of it, which was to do a lot more on the stage end, because I have this whole Gothic Illusion show. So I'm like, let's do that and combine it with the horror film narrative that kind of pays homage to The Wizard of Gore, but is not a ripoff of The Wizard of Gore in any way. And then we go from there. So that's kind of the nucleus, the genesis of Dark Realm.
Yeah, again, I can't stress enough. You either go out and rent it on Amazon or buy it. You got to get, you got to watch it. I mean, it's just one hell of a good, scary type of interesting movie. Also, kind of, you're doing your magic tricks and stuff like that. It just gives the people what is all involved in the story all around it. And all I can say is it's definitely worth the watch. Hey, our time is up. Boy, every time you're on here, I mean, I could talk to you for 24 hours and it would only seem like a half an hour.
I could talk to you for days, Gary. This is always fun. It's always interesting. I love that the audience sends us questions and interacts with us. And it seems like we've got no shortage of where to go when we want to, talk about things. I enjoy it so much. And thank you for having me back yet again. I always love coming back, and hopefully I'll have some more bigger updates about the Devil Frame and where else people can see Dark Realm or see me live or something like that at a convention near them or something. So thanks for having me back on. And for everybody out there, if you want to keep in touch, go to Fitzgerald'sRealm.com, as well as get the DVD or something else there. Please sign up on my email list over there, or you can find me on social media as well.
Oh, yeah. And he will reply to you on Facebook, too. So, keep an eye on him. Hey, Ron.
Yeah, it's me, and I try to get to everybody. So, yeah. But thank you. You are, too. I mean, go and follow Gary. Go to his website, get on his email list, and follow, Night Dreams Talk Radio on Facebook, so you don't miss an episode, because he's got me, and he's got a slew of other very cool people on the show. So continue to support Gary and Night Dreams.
Oh, thank you for saying that. I was just going to say, every morning when I get up, I take my daughter to work at 5 o'clock in the morning. And when I get home from taking her to work, I spend at least 2 hours, going through all the emails I get. And I get hundreds of emails a day about my show. I make a point to answer virtually every single one. And I feel that's very important to my listeners. If they take the time to listen to my show, as crappy as it can be sometimes, I'm going to respond to them. And I just want to thank everybody for listening tonight with, me and Ron. And, I'm going to try to get Ron back on again around towards the end of January to see what's going on with his
Done. Yeah, well, we'll have some updates. We'll have some more new dark, sticky fun for you all.
Okay, my friend. Well, hey, you have a great weekend that's coming up, will you?
You too. Thank you. And all of you, and enjoy your holidays and ring in the new year very safe and happy and prosperous, everybody. Go out and make some money and make some noise and have a great new year. And hopefully, we'll see you on the social media before then. And then I'll be back with Gary here in the new year. It'll be fun. Oh, yeah. And you as well, Gary. You have a really great new year, and ring it in well. And I hope you have some great. I'm sure you're going to have some amazing guests and great shows for the rest of the month here.
Oh yeah, I actually do. And you know what? To the parents out there that have kids, and if they are looking for something like in magic tricks or whatever for Christmas, hey, take the extra time to get them. You know, somehow if you give a kid a nurse kit or a doctor's kit when they want a magic trick, you don't realize the trauma you can put a 6 to an 8-year-old kid in. Come on. So spend the time. I know you can get magic trick kits all over the internet. Don't get a nurse kit. You know, seriously, come on. Anyway, Ron, you have a good evening.
Exactly, I'm with you on that. Yes, get them a nice. You can see. Look what it did. You know, look what it did for me.
Oh yeah, look what it didn't do for me.
A nice magic kit, not the nurse kit.
Yeah. Hey, the only magic trick I ever learned when I was in junior high school, I went to there used to be a trick store up by where I lived. You know, they had everything. Cool. You know, all little. You put your finger in there, and like a mouse trap would clap. You know. Snap your finger, things like that. But I bought this gum. Mm-hmm. You know, it looked like real stick gum. And then one was a garlic flavor. It would be really bad. The other one would turn the kid's mouth and lips black. You know, and I did that when I was in second or third grade or fourth grade in school. I remember that. Boy, did I get in trouble with the school, the principal. I actually got to see this little piece of wood that back them days they'd make you bend over in the principal's office. They close the door and they swat you 1 or 2 or 3 times on the butt. But you know what? I just could remember going up to the prettiest girl in my class. Hey, you want a piece of gum? You know, and she'd go, yeah, sure, and start chomping. And all of a sudden, you know, here's this big black face on her, you know. And as she would rub her hand on her face, it would be everywhere. You know, and I thought it was so funny.
And meanwhile, she thinks she's got the zombie apocalypse virus.
I don't know what they thought, you know. But, or the exploding cigarettes. I did that, too, with my dad. Actually, it was a cigar. You light it, you get a couple puffs, and then it blow up. And he didn't think that was funny.
They used to have these little loads you could put in people's cigarettes. And I was trying to get my cousin to smoke, and my brother and I would go and randomly get into his smokes and pull out a few at random and put these little exploding loads in the end of it, and then slip them back into the pack. And so, but the thing of it is, he'd be driving around and stuff, and he'd light one of those up. It would explode while he's driving it. So he hated us for it.
Well, you know what my brother did to my dad, and this is the end of the show, but I'll tell you this. They used to sell a thing, you'd pull off your spark plug in your car, and you put this little device in between the spark plug and the spark plug wire. So when they start the car, maybe it wasn't the wire, maybe it was a coil wire, it would go bang. Mm-hmm. Okay, well, my brother did that on my dad. My dad had a Studebaker. You know, the car, you couldn't tell the front from the back. Anyway, he did that to my dad's car. And when it went bang, we didn't know he had a slight gas leak on the carburetor, but the car burned up.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
I never ratted out my brother Joey. Never, ever ratted him out.
Good deal.
No, my dad just thought the car, you know, did something and it caught on fire. Right. Yeah, he didn't realize it was actually one of those magic tricks my brother put into it. But what can I say?
That's a good thing.
Yeah. Yeah, he wouldn't have been able to sit down for months on that one. Anyway, Ron, you take care, and we'll talk to you in about a month.
You too, you got it. Thanks, Gary.
Okay, night, my friend.
All right, have a great one. I'll let.
Yeah, that's one thing I do miss on like the sci-fi and all of a sudden Comet is, you know, I really like horror movies, you know, and it seems like, you know, they'll start out doing what, you know, the horror movies and all that stuff like Frankenstein and you know, the vampire ones and all this stuff. And then they slowly go into like Shark Week, Shark Month, Shark Year. Or they start going away from showing the old B horror movies into showing, you know, like Star Trek and stuff like that. I mean, I don't know about you. I'm all Star Trek'd out, you know. I kind of like the classic movies because, you know, that was before effects were really effects. And you had to use your imagination a lot, which actually got you more involved into the movie. I don't know. But again, Dark Realm, you need to check it out. It is worth the $20, believe me. And, you know, if you want to see something about, you know, how is, being a magician and on stage doing his magic, and then it goes into a whole storyline. It's well worth